Welcome aboard the dopamine train, where our ADHD-powered locomotive stops at every shiny thought along the tracks. I'm Obee Won, and with my co-host Rome, we explore various topics and see where the conversation train takes us. Welcome back to the dopamine train for part 2 of History of Social Media. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have Rome with us as well, and our wonderful friend Jesse to talk about YouTube as a university. I'll give them a chance to introduce themselves.
How's it going, guys? This is Rome tuning in. I already want to go on a tangent talking about how much we discussed on the last show, but first I'm excited to have Jesse on for, I think this is your third one, Jesse?
No, I think this is my second one. I did one with you, but just us two. That probably got deleted, but it is what it is.
It's still there. I got everything saved. Don't worry.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome back, Jesse. It's always good to have you.
I'm just gonna be I'm just gonna fill it out because I don't know what you guys talked about last time, and I'll just share my nonsense in between your guys' knowledge, I guess.
That's perfect.
Wonderful. So YouTube was founded in 2005 by 3 PayPal employees, Hurley, Chen, and Kareem. And what's interesting about the history of YouTube is that the actors or the owners, it would change over in a year. Being bought in 2006 by Google for $1.6 billion. And
billion.
Billion, right?
Wait, it was only independent for 1 year?
Yeah, that's what I found so surprising. And for that much money in 2006, it's big investment, I think, for Google. It paid off in tenfold, in a sense.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
The founders immediately wanted to sell to a bigger company. It's just the whole point of Silicon Valley now.
Oh, 100%.
Let's make something and then just pawn it off on these other people.
Right.
That's what we're gonna do.
Maybe.
Oh.
Going back to a little bit of the history. So they were the founders were trying to do a dating website, found little success to that, and then thought, is there a site for uploading video content? And so they went down that journey of uploading content as in videos. So YouTube originally had the capability of uploading videos, viewing them, rating them, sharing them, making playlists, making channels, and video playlists as well. Well, another interesting fact I found was there's 400 hours of content uploaded to YouTube each minute, according back in 2017, and I can only imagine how much content they have now. The other fun fact about
how much of that is just cat videos?
Right, cat videos, or just what you would call sludge, right?
Someone just recording like a 14 or a 480p camera in their backyard on the trampoline. I'm dating myself with that one. It's like something from 2007.
How much of that is feet videos? Have you ever thought about that?
Oh my goodness.
Well, those are behind the paywalls.
Fair enough.
Maybe that's how OnlyFans got its start, right? The other interesting fact I found about YouTube is in 2006, YouTube became Person of the Year for Time Magazine, which I found very interesting because I don't know historically if how many things have been a person according to Time Magazine.
Yeah, how did they? I mean, they didn't just bring on the creators; they just made YouTube itself a person.
Exactly. Not even the founders.
Does that mean 2020 should have been COVID then? The person of the year was COVID.
Right.
Let's also remember being person of the year is not a good thing all the time because I think Hitler was person of the year for like 2 or 3 years.
Correct.
So
correct.
And Stalin
didn't know about that one. And I'm a history major. That's interesting.
And Rome and Stemler.
Oh, right. We were both back to back, like 2017, 2018, if I remember correctly.
He
Yeah.
helped. He helped start the chicken shortage of 2025.
Oh my god, the chicken shortage.
It's an inside joke for anyone. We'll tell that story another time. Someone rummaging through for chicken, completely
When we were
unaware of
about to,
everyone
when we
around
are
him.
talking about going to eat like 5 minutes prior, and then he used like $30 worth of makeup and never paid you back.
That's there's a list of atrocities. But anyways, back to it was person of the year. That was in what year did you say?
2006.
Okay.
So immediately as it got purchased, right? If you look at it that way, once it became a huge entity for Google, that's when it became a person, I guess. So getting to the question of the day is YouTube a university? And so YouTube, that's how-to videos, I would say, is the biggest thing. Even YouTube themselves funded a bit, started a fund in 2018 for educational presenters in a sense as well. So people could then just present their content. I don't know what the litmus test of how you get that fund or anything like that. Maybe we get that in the future. Who knows? But the question is it a university? And I would argue it depends on what your definition of university is. And we'll go off the Webster's dictionary definition: an institution of higher education and research which awards academic degrees in several disciplines. This is where I think you can get into the argument of YouTube as a university. University is derived from the Latin phrase universitas moestronum and scholarium. Butchered that Latin 100%, which
I don't
means
even know Latin. I know that was butchered for sure.
butchered. Uh, which means community of teachers and scholars. So,
So
based off
no,
that, depends on what you define as a teacher, right? And I would make the argument for YouTube as a university because of the knowledge base. It's like you can maybe make it the argument that it's a library also as well.
For
So,
sure.
what are your guys' thoughts based off of that?
Jesse.
too saturated with grifters trying to make money off of really impressionable, dumb people. I don't know. I'm very much against that. I used to be like pro it because you know I spent so much time on it, but like I don't know. Looking back, I don't think I was really watching that many people that helped me that much, and then they just turn out to be terrible human beings.
Do you have a
I like this because Jesse and I have completely polar opposite perspectives on. Not that he's incorrect. I do agree. There's a lot. I mean, I'm one who got scammed out by. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Obee Won?
No, you're good. That's what I was going to get at as well. And I was just curious if Jesse had a story to share with it after making the claim, in a sense.
Like a story.
So basically, you said that there were some people that you followed or watched that weren't genuine or didn't have the facts correct, in a sense, right? And so what I'm asking is if you could lay out an example of that.
I mean, Alex is probably gonna. I mean, he'll agree the modern day version of this person, but he will fight to tooth and nail for the past person. I guess you could, or past version of this person. But Jordan Peterson, completely has turned into a freaking shell of a person who's very much willing to grift and become like the opposite of what he said he was. He just seems like a blithering idiot meth head who actually maybe I should be saying these things, but yeah, I just view that past me as very impressionable and willing to accept knowledge from people that aren't as knowledgeable as they say they are.
Makes sense. Like, it's interesting that you brought up Jordan Peterson because that came up in a conversation earlier today for me, where I think for young men at the time when he first were saying things was somewhat okay, and then it's based off what he when I dove deeper and actually met someone who met him in Toronto when he was at the university, it became much more of a, this is for money, this is for ego, and just not wanting to understand the other in a sense. But I would say, in terms of like good things that he said that I remember, is like, if you want to attract a competent partner, you have to be competent, right? And that's something which makes sense to me. But the rest, it's kind of like, are we able to separate the bad from the good in a sense, right? Uh Not, but as of right now, I know he's like peddling a lot with depending on how our audience feels, like peddling a lot with Ben Shapiro a bit, and some other
Or
talking heads.
idiots like Russell Brand, and just like he was essentially like, hey, he seemed like he was saying, I'm moderate, like I believe he almost felt like he would criticize both sides of the political spectrum, but now he's just gone solely into let me just become a right wing grifter that makes money off of people's insecurities and people's fears. And I guess that's a lot of politics in general, but he's definitely veered off to the right when he kind of sold himself as like a moderate free thinker.
Right. Makes sense. I just want to give Rome a chance to speak. So we're in Jesse's camp of not a university, correct? And now we have Alex presenting his arguments.
I appreciate you correlating those two names together. Now, if anyone was like, who the hell is Alex? Yeah. So, I mean, Jordan Peterson he's not the first person who I think of as YouTube University, but I guess when you put it like that, I did consume most of his content from YouTube. So that makes perfect sense. Actually, I consume more of it from podcasts on Apple and Spotify when I'd be driving, but that's getting off topic. I agree that there are a lot of bad actors on YouTube, just like there are really skilled filmmakers on YouTube, and there are complete amateurs, which is part of the beauty of the platform, is that it doesn't matter what your sort of background is. I think I've talked a lot on my stream about how the democratization of online media has given people the opportunity to make things that they like. Unlike in the past when you had gatekeepers like Hollywood, or, I mean, you just think of any industry you're interested in entering into, and there were kind of a few people at the top who had access to all of the equipment and all of the most talented people or the most powerful people, and you had to play the game their way, and that was the only option you had. And then something like YouTube, and then later into the future, you could argue Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those things made the average Joe capable of having a voice, for better or worse. I mean, I look at Twitter, or X, as one of the worst examples of this. You know, Jesse, your mom, my mom and you see eye to eye a lot as far as Jordan Peterson goes, and how he's acted out. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way he has conducted himself. And he's also done this on YouTube as well, but on Twitter especially, it's like not even the same person, or at least it didn't seem like the same person. But you know, the things that he shared in 2017, 2018, I think had a more generalized practical application, especially in a time when certain, I guess, demographics were just like made to feel bad about who they were simply for being who they were. And so it just happened to stand out to me. And I still stand by the fact that a lot of the information he shared back then to me was really valuable. And, you know, it's something that I practiced this morning. The first thing I did was I got up and I made my bed. And sometimes when, you know, life is really overwhelming, that is just the only thing you need to think about is, can you make your bed? And, you know, can I stop catastrophizing everything that's happening that's out of my control, and put it back together? But, you know, I don't want to go on a whole thing talking about that. I think there are certain points where people have, you know, they provide meaning in our lives in a positive way. I even look at someone like XXX Tentacion, who, is kind of had a checkered past in real life, but his music spoke to millions of people, including myself. But back to actual YouTube University, I found it incredibly useful for, I can't even describe how many ways I've used it. It's completely, I mean, the fact that we're sitting here right now doing this podcast, it wouldn't be happening if I hadn't spent hours, years learning how audio equipment works, researching audio. I mean, the reason Obee Won has his mic right now is because there were great videos describing how it worked and it was a good value. And I don't know, there's incredible tools. I think the clearest parallel I can make, and then I'll hand it off to someone else, is when I was in film school, there was so much information that we had to retain. And without proper context, you don't know what is important and what's not. You're watching a bunch of old movies, you're learning about different camera angles and lenses and styles and directing styles, cinematography, all these things. And as a freshman who's going in and has had the experience of shooting one film at this point, it, doesn't really mean much to me. And then to be able to get onto YouTube and watch one video that says, okay, if you can get these 9 shots from these 9 angles, that's all you need to worry about. For someone like me who just, can get overwhelmed with all that information, it's great to be able to go back to that video and refer to it whenever I want. And you can really learn at your own pace, right? You don't have to take in everything in a certain amount of time or at the same rate as your classmates. And if you want something that is a little bit more technical, like when it comes to PC building, there's channels like Gamers Nexus that spend hours talking about proper radiator placement, talking about what the difference is between an ATX or an eATX motherboard, all these sorts of things. Or you could just watch Linus Tech Tips, which, he also makes great content, but it's a little bit more digestible. It's like, what's the difference between a $50 PC versus a $10,000 PC? And it's really entertaining. And so you can cater your particular learning style to whatever creators are out there. And the final point I just want to make, and this isn't just about YouTube, I think the type of content you consume is less of a reflection on the platform and more of a reflection on what you're interested in. So people that like cars are going to get served lots of car things, and politics. If you have a negative perspective on politics, you're going to get a lot of negative videos. And in my particular case, it's a mix mash of filmmaking and how to be a streamer and how to build computers and all these sorts of things, which I found to be very useful and I think uplifting in certain ways because it's constructive. So I'll give that back to you, Obee Won.
Makes sense. Like a lot of good points. Now I'm like changing my position. I would consider it not a university, but a library. Kind of like what I mentioned earlier. I would make the argument that it's a library of knowledge, and it's up to the user, like you said, to determine what is value and not valuable, what they're interested in, what you're interested in. Just like if you walk into a library and you're interested in, I don't know, young adult fantasy, you're going to go to that section, look at all those things, and you're kind of going to stay there unless you are prompted by, say, the librarian, and in this case for YouTube, a cookie or an ad, to go to a different section in a sense. And I'd make the argument it's not a university but a library in that sense, because like university, what I'm thinking is like you're taking classes and whatnot. Granted, there are classes that you can view on YouTube, but I would say in a sense it's like auditing a class, because I think like to attend a university there's like work that has to be done, and as someone who's in like a higher ed job professionally, I would make the argument that there's still value to higher educational institutions, but it's like I did the degree or I did the certification, whereas you could learn that stuff on YouTube per se, and expand your value in a sense. But I think there's still a value to college in terms of the credentialing in a sense, because there's also, even for universities, right, a body that does accreditation for it to say these are valid degrees based off the courses and the like what they say syllabi wise of what they're offering. Where as YouTube is just whatever's in the library. So
yeah, there are so many. I mean, we haven't even gotten into the whole, social dynamic of actually getting to be around people in person. If you just spent your whole life watching YouTube to learn, then, you might apply it in this practical sense where I'm sitting at my desk, but I'm not going out and interacting with people. I don't have a professor who I'm communicating one-on-one with. I'm not being held accountable for the work. It's all kind of optional. So it also kind of depends on, it's like the example you just gave. In order to get to the young adult genre section of the library, you have to take the initiative to walk over there. It's not just going to, be directed at you by there's more personalized interaction, I think, with a professor in higher education.
Just, do you have anything to add? Because I have something to go off of, actually, Rome's stuff as well.
Yeah, I don't know. My mind is kind of racing everywhere because I'm listening. It's just I'm like, I'm just even thinking about like like modern education, not even YouTube. It's just like what, I don't know. There's so much fighting over what is an education, what isn't, what we should include, what we should include. I don't know. I'm. It's a very confusing time right now, and I don't know. Growing up, I never felt that confused, but we're in a weird
Do you have a perspective
time of
on
history.
what you think it should be?
Uh, as far as like education goes,
Yeah, what it's shift. I mean, because if you didn't feel that it was as confusing before, what was taken away now that we had prior?
um, what that's well, one thing is like, should we talk about social issues in school? I always felt like in school we did, but like the teacher would try to, at least at Bosco, the teacher tried to be like, our teachers would be like, hey, this is what's going on. What are your thoughts on it? And there'd be like a discussion. And now there's like a sort of fight of like, should teachers have a tilt certain way? Because you'll see, left leaning and right leaning people argue that there should be a tilt towards one way or another. And it just seems like politics has infected every aspect of society, not just, politics always seemed like kind of it dipped into different aspects of life, but it was kind of its own section far away from things at times. And now it's just dominating every aspect of life. I don't know. It's just a election year and a real effed up time.
Yeah, it's like everything you learn in the classroom starts to become editorialized. It didn't feel that way before. Obviously, we had for the longest time the perspective that, you celebrate Columbus Day, right? And now it's completely 180'd from that. It's still it's technically a holiday that we have, but the sentiment around it is totally different. And some people are
Most schools
indifferent to
don't
that, but
recognize it. They recognize what, Indigenous Peoples Day.
indigenous, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very weird time, and it's just like, I don't know. I always felt like it was easy. It was like some things were very easy. Like, okay, we all respect teachers, we all respect nurses, we all respect this people and these people. And now it's like nobody respects anybody, and there's sort of, yeah, very
I hear you.
confusing.
Yeah, I hear you. Nothing is sacred anymore. There's good and bad to that, I guess.
It's interesting. I want to continue this, but I also want to square back to the online university part, because you
Mhm.
mentioned Rome about whether it would be in person, but I also want to talk about this as well. So we'll go one and then the other. What if it's an online university? Are you still having that interaction with professors and whatnot? Because I find online was not good for moi and did not thrive. I will remember that I took high school healthcare class through like Long Beach City College and failed it because I just was not accountable to it versus showing up to, oh God, who was that wrestling coach that taught health? I forget his name. Anyway,
Not the head coach, right?
maybe the head coach
Because he taught computer science.
and computer science as well.
And bro, he was sick as hell. I took his computer science 3 times in the last 2 years, just to have credits or whatever.
You're
And
talking about
he had this,
Delgado?
Delgado, yeah,
bro,
Delgado.
homeboy had the same project for all 3 classes and let me turn in the same project all 3 times, and I got A every single the entire class. Bro, I don't want to be mean, but that class was a joke. I like Delgado, but like half the time was watching science fiction movies and and like playing N64 simulators on the computer, bro. It was amazing.
Oh, emulators.
Yeah, emulators. What did I say? Simulators?
No, No, you were right. I was reflecting back of a time that I used to use the Game Boy Advance ones, right? And that was the big thing that some people started streaming was the Pokemon games, like the old ones. But super fast.
I also just remember like watching like Blade Runner and like Star Wars, and it's like, hell yeah, bro, this is computer science, man. This is like top education,
Your tuition dollars at work, right?
bro. This shit was sick as hell, dog. I'm playing Mario Kart while watching episode 3 or episode 4, whatever you'd have on.
That's what's up.
Because as you know, Star Wars is sci-fi and not fantasy whatsoever.
Right. That's
what
how
we're
you
gonna
learn about
grow into.
computers.
Yeah, bro.
Is it really?
C-3PO, that shit's real.
So what's a sci-fi fantasy?
Huh?
What's a sci-fi?
No, I think he was being facetious.
Oh,
Yeah, I was joking because I've always viewed Star Wars closer to fantasy.
that's like an interesting debate topic because I've had that discussion with multiple people of like, no, it's a sci-fi, no, it's a fantasy. I'm like, but what about a combination of the two? But I don't even know what the litmus test for a genre, if it's sci-fi fantasy versus fantasy and sci-fi versus not fantasy. No idea. Sounds like a discussion for another time though.
Yeah, for sure.
That another idea for a podcast.
Yeah,
Is
but that's
Star
the point
Wars
of me being on this podcast.
fantasy, or what did you say, Jesse?
I said that's the point of me being on this podcast, completely derailing the conversation. But I will shut up so we can continue it.
No, you're good. That's why this is back to our title, Dopamine Train. We're following that dopamine, and that's all that's good. I just want to make sure that we're also not staying on topic, but we've said what we've wanted to say on the topic in a sense.
I can't wait till the listeners see the title and we get the feedback as to whether or not it actually sounds good.
If it sounds
Like,
terrible.
What the hell does dopamine train mean?
This, what we're doing.
And by listeners, we mean Alex's mom.
Yeah. Well, she already has her opinions on it, so you might be
Hopefully good.
surprised if we market it correct. Wow, we would. Okay, I'm going off topic, but what do we leave off at as far as YouTube?
So good thing I wrote this stuff
Go
down.
ahead. Follow the dopamine train.
So I took the notes because I was like making sure. So we were talking about online university and those interactions, and then I talked about the health class, and that's how we got derailed.
Oh,
We were like,
that's
who the
right.
hell is Delgado?
Who was teaching that? Yeah.
And so my argument was going to be, you mentioned like the importance of university, and I'm on either side of the fence. Is online school a university? And therefore, if that is true, then you could maybe make the argument that YouTube is a university, not because of the fact that it's online, but like there's classes on there. I think maybe for me, the difference would be one is test taking and someone's checking your knowledge versus, or supposed experts checking your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you're getting certified of like person expert in their field is checking you as expert in their field.
And you're actually getting something at the end of the year or the semester for it. YouTube, you get the knowledge, but if you're trying to be a doctor, it's not going to work on YouTube.
No, I don't want any YouTube doctor working on like fucking operating on my leg and shit. And I wake up missing my nuts and a fucking pinky toe.
What an interesting combination. Are those
I
what
know,
you find most valuable appendages?
I mean, I do want my. I mean, if they castrate me, bro, like I'm not. You know what I mean? Like I'm not towards anywhere near death, hopefully. So I don't want to be castrated at 30.
Sure.
Maybe
That's
it'll
a
make me
fair
more
point.
productive, bro. You ever think about that?
That's the basis of all Catholicism. Is that's why you don't have a wife.
I mean, there's another way you can get more productive. It's called discipline.
Oh my god. That's funny. So I don't know what your opinion is on the matter.
On online versus in person?
Yep. Like
For
is
classes?
online if my argument is if online or I kind of solved the argument myself in a sense where one is someone's telling you as an expert in a sense.
Well, the problem with the online classes is, I mean, think about how it started, right? They became really popular. I mean, they had some before the pandemic, but a lot of these professors were not prepared to teach online. I mean, some of them barely know how to use technology, which is just, it's kind of it's crazy. Sorry, this is a small tangent, but like some people that my mom has worked with, like sometimes in the hiring process,
Say their name.
She will tell me story. I don't know their names. Marcus. No, I'm kidding. So she would do the hiring process, and it's like, okay, this item was sent to your email. Like you just need to open that up. Or we need to send this to your email. What's your email address? And like, I don't have an email.
What?
Like or she'll ask, this is my favorite. In order to log in, you have to go to your portal. What does it say on your portal? And the response is, oh, I'm not on my portal. I'm looking at the screen. And it's some of these people are like in their, mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s. And like, they don't know how to use technology at all. And I'm just like, how is this happening?
It turns out she's working with a lot of former Amish people, and you're being very phobic right now, and I don't appreciate it. So that's where I'll leave.
Yeah, just totally. And I've seen this myself too. Working in esports, I always assumed that people would be like really good with computers and stuff. But I won't specify at what level, because I've worked at high school and college level. Actually, I'll just say at both. I've worked with people at both levels who do not know where to plug in their USB devices or how to start the computer in some cases. I was like, whoa.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I think last time I went to the Bosco computer lab with you, there was a point where I was like, I don't know how to turn this computer on. Can you help me? And I'm just
I wasn't gonna out you, but
no, like for real, like for real. Sometimes at work, I'd be like, what is wrong? The problem is the ones at work are weird because they have like some computers you have to have a remote control to turn on the screen. I'm like, what happened to just having a button on the side of the fucking thing?
Well, there probably is, but what kind of computer is it?
I don't know. It's a Macintosh 95.
Thick, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, bro, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, so the technology or the grasp of technology isn't necessarily there. I don't remember how this was related to YouTube.
Because it's technology. So my joke there is like, so they can't even use YouTube because they can't turn on the computer to do the thing.
Well, unless the computer is just on all the time, eventually they figure out how to navigate. They know how to type in YouTube, and that's about it.
Oh God. Or is it because, I wonder if it's because they know how to do stuff on their phone and they're always doing it on their phone and never on their
or the iPad.
Yeah.
The touch screen, the tablet. Yeah, it's a little bit easier to interface with.
So I'm assuming they have a phone, right? These people that are applying to
Yeah, I'd say 90% have a phone
so
or a
that's
smartphone.
They're using a
interesting.
rotary phone.
Oh my god.
Could you imagine?
I couldn't even use a rotary phone. I really don't understand that technology whatsoever.
What?
Can we
I
just
mean,
have
I could-
buttons pressed?
I don't know how to use it either, but I know
I
how
know
I
how
could
to
figure
use
it
it.
out
Yeah, I would
on
figure it out
YouTube.
too.
On YouTube.
Yeah, I'd watch a tutorial and I know it in 30 seconds.
Amen.
Oh my god.
I mean, think about it. Well, before we went live today, or before we started recording today, I was like, hey, we found a solution to a technical problem. Where was the solution? YouTube.
Amen. YouTube as a church.
YouTube as a yes. I kind of want to touch. Go ahead, Jesse.
Turns out the video you actually sent was Russian propaganda.
I very well could have been.
Yeah,
Right.
bro. They was trying to sell you stuff to fund the war.
I just wanted to briefly touch on the idea that, you get professors in higher, we'll call it traditional education, but you do kind of get the same thing. And I'll use Peterson as the example because we all know who he is.
Or you could use
If
TED
you-
Talks.
Or you could use TED Talks, but I prefer individual because it's the same
Okay.
dude.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, when a person has a channel with a library of work that they've done, you can keep up with their same teaching style, with a consistent set of beliefs that they hold or rules that they have. And this is going a little bit beyond the skirts of YouTube, but depending on what type of creator it is or a teacher, you can potentially reach out to them. Maybe they have a Discord, or maybe they have a other platform or something that you can reach out and you can learn more things. Or even better, in my opinion, is when some of these tech channels have Discords, you'll find other experts in those places. And I've never really used these personally just because, I don't know, I personally feel uncomfortable going on, and I'm not someone to ask questions in forums. I just try to find the answer online. But if you're about that, you can totally join a community of people who know the same quote unquote professor and get answers to whatever questions you have, which is kind of cool. It's sort of like an actual professor having a what do you call their assistants? I forget.
Right. I mean,
In a
time
classroom.
out. Obee Won. You should know.
I should know what. I dissociated.
What is it called? The assistants
teacher?
called in the classroom. Oh, the TA.
TA.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So
always
it's like
an
having
assistant.
TAs. Sorry, I thought it was a fancy word.
No. Like
You're looking
yeah,
for
teacher,
a French or Latin word.
assistium.
Yeah. Cum
The
laude or
CJ.
something.
What'd you
You two
say?
got honors, right?
Yeah.
I should know that actually. Whoop.
You should.
We have a degree.
uh,
That's fun.
is there another point on this bullet list we want to go to?
So we kind of like solved all the questions.
We solved everything.
Because we solved everything, but at the same time, the one thing I wanted to talk about too a little bit is like, because this library, you could have some like conspiracy theorist in a sense.
Oh yeah, my favorite.
Your favorite. And that's where I would make the argument it's a depository of knowledge and exchange of ideas, but it's also, you have to know going in what truth is, I would argue, or what is true. But then we're going to get into this debate. I already foresaw it because this happened like 10 years ago, is everything is a social construct. But if we can remain from that, refrain from going down that rabbit hole of everything is a social construct, I think there's a good debate to be said there of like conspiracies, right? One conspiracy that was a conspiracy that is no longer a conspiracy is the existence of aliens, right? Is aliens do exist. Now, granted, it was not a grandiose celebration of the ending of a conspiracy, but that's one, I would say. So the argument is like, what is conspiracy? What's not? What's truth? What's not? In a sense, I play that to y'all if you have any comments.
That's so hard to. I mean, y-
Wait,
I
we
think
definitely know
I
aliens exist now? Sorry, that really threw me off.
Yeah,
I want to talk about that too, Jesse. But if I ask about it, then we're like I'm not going to be able to answer this question. Can we just like bookmark that for a second?
existence of aliens.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we can. That's another topic for another time.
You know, that was actually a perfect example to do because you're like, yeah, that's one thing we all agree upon, and I'm sitting here like, we do.
we
Wait,
No, for sure.
wait, it's been confirmed?
let me see. Let me pull it up. I remember.
Okay, while you're doing that, let's look at the bigger picture, which is how do you navigate knowing what's a conspiracy and what isn't. I think it's important to have a method to how you want to do your research, and one of the best ways I think is instead of starting at the overview level. Like for example, we'll just say maybe I want to learn more about computers and how they work. So I should be looking at videos from maybe 2 or 3 different people that describe how the computer works. And it doesn't matter if I don't know anything beforehand. As long as the videos I watch tell a similar story, I can, with a fair amount of confidence, I'm not going to say certainty, but confidence, say, okay, this is probably how it works. And now I might find a 4th video that completely contradicts the first 3, but I need more evidence to. I mean, this is the same way that the scientific method works, right? You have a hypothesis, you test it under certain conditions, and then you have a theory. And the theory is not quote unquote truth. It's a theory, just like gravity is a theory, but there is no other tested theory to disprove it in a way that is more compelling. So you have to almost throw out the idea that there are universal truths. You just have to find the most reliable tool and use it until it doesn't work. Until someone finds something better, then you scrutinize that one. And if it stands up to the test, then you move on to that one. It's as simple as that.
It makes sense
Fair.
because go ahead, Jesse.
No, I just said fair. You're good to keep going.
So I would, along the lines of when I deep dived into this on the definition of this is definition of that is, so I looked up the definition of truth, and truth is the state of being a fact or the way of being a fact. And then I was like, what is a fact? And then fact is basically a thing that is known or proved to be true, which was kind of interesting. Is like going along with your scientific method is it'd have to be proven in a sense.
Yes. Yeah, right. And everyone has to use the same rule set in order for it to work.
Right. And that's where I think where you get into the stuff is when people are not operating on to the same tool set or lens in a sense. That's where you get the differences, right? But it's also, is the lens of the majority the correct one? And that's where you get into the interesting part, right? Because if we look at history is full of these, this is the truth. And then as more science pulled up, this is no longer truth in a sense. And so it's like being comfortable with the fact that truth may not be truth.
Yeah, and also how you perceive something is different from how I will based on how well functioning either of our faculties are. Sure. You know, I could stand in this living room and you could be here too, and I see fish, moving around on the ceiling. Well, I literally see fish moving around on the ceiling. Well, it turns out you don't see them because you don't have ocular degenerative issues. That's a really important thing to consider.
I'm just imagining that one of us has those issues.
Yeah, I mean that's, but especially you kind of got to go easy on prior generations, because if everything is, well, that's a generalization, but if a lot of things were left up to supernatural causes and the works of the imagination, then you can't make that objective deduction that, okay, Rome is going crazy, he can't actually see, maybe he's the one who can see and no one else can, right? That becomes there's a whole Vsauce video I think you guys would like that talks about, is your red the same as my red, that discusses the phenomenon that all of our experiences are utterly solo. Even though we feel like we're in community and we're engaged with one another, it's still from our own brains. But
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the truth. Another thing I was thinking about right now is another problem with labeling YouTube a university is I feel like what I thought school and university should be is like encountering times where you're just wrong, and also like just your thoughts and opinions are questioned every moment. But with YouTube, you can go on there and you literally can just search up.
Validate everything
Yeah.
you think.
You're just like, and like some people, like, let's say somebody believes the Earth is flat, or they'll go in there and just be like, "Why is the Earth flat?" Instead of like, "Is the Earth flat?" You know what I mean? Like simple things like that. It's just they're gonna find a way to validate their opinions and use mental gymnastics to not have to face a world where they're wrong.
It sounds like what you're illustrating is the need for a minimum intelligence level in order for the tool to be effective.
Yeah, and YouTube is too broad of a tool for everyone to actually have that be the case. You know what I mean? It's
I
like
agree. Some people need the special. It's like some people need charter school and some people do fine in traditional school.
it's like that's why YouTube is so successful, because it offers so much and it gives people that validation. It's kind of the point of social media, is to validate people so that they can um, keep
Stay on
spending
it
time
more and
on
see
there.
more ads.
Yeah. Now imagine if YouTube
Yeah.
was just like constantly just being like, "No, you're fucking wrong," and people would be like, "I don't want to be on here, bro. Like, it just makes me feel
Yeah,
stupid.
it's biased.
It's biased against
YouTube is
me."
biased. Yeah. That's
Interesting.
It's
true. Maybe
against
it's
me.
better. Maybe it's better this way. I
What,
don't
that
know.
we live in
You
blind fucking.
well, that you
Uh,
expose you should keep the kooky stuff on there so you can see what they're talking about.
YouTube is YouTube is made for brain rot and skibbity and get and dumb shit. I don't know.
I mean, that's like that's a section of it.
It's just like in the library.
Yeah, that's a genre.
This
That's
is
one
genre
of the whole thing.
is the sludge and the brain rot. And then there's other avenues that you can look up. There was one YouTuber that I appreciated that did facts about animals and did it in such a way that it was entertaining. It felt like I was in an educational show for a kid. He's like, mongoose, honey badger, you wouldn't want to mess with them. And goes into
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
facts about like honey badgers. So, but yeah,
Honey badgers apparently, according to Far Cry logic, can survive 3 direct Desert Eagle shots.
that is some sound logic, because it is the animal of the animal kingdom that does not give up.
I-
It's the Han Solo of animals. Don't tell me the odds.
Yeah, I hear that.
Jesse, I feel like you wanted to say something.
But I thought you were gonna go with the honey badger don't give a fuck. Like isn't that what the video was? That's what the video was saying.
That's the whole running joke about honey badgers. I think that was
They
the
don't-
original.
right?
No,
But he didn't
no,
go
this
there.
was
He didn't say it.
he also did other animals too, like rhinoceroses or just like random animals. You'd be like, this cool animal you wouldn't want to mess with.
So he was
That's how I
milking.
learned
He
about
was
the
milking
bullet
the
shrimp.
success. What's the bullet shrimp?
Oh my god, you're not ready. The bullet shrimp. So the bullet shrimp can basically kills its prey by shooting water out of
Itself.
one of its claws at a basically sound barrier speed.
Oh,
That's
hell yeah.
brutal.
Huh?
That's like Aquaman if he were evil.
Exactly.
Some would say Aquaman is evil. He's using these animals to do his bidding.
True. But that's
Bro.
like Homelander if he were underwater.
Well, it's not a bullet shrimp, it's a pistol shrimp. I'm sorry.
Oh, now you just
Okay.
ruined the entire podcast.
Real quick, what is everyone's favorite animal?
I don't know. I like elephants.
Elephants are cool.
What kind
Is there
of
just like
Obi-Wan?
just generally an
just
elephant.
generally elephants because they're cute and they're nice, or they can be nice. And I feel bad for them because they're like taken advantage of all the time.
Fair.
Obi-Wan?
Next. So
What's your favorite?
I would say it's a tie between the pistol shrimp / mantis shrimp / I thought it was the bullet shrimp and rhinoceroses because I had to do a report on endangered species, and that's when I fell in love with rhinos.
Dude, rhinos. I don't remember the last time I've seen one in person, like at the zoo or anything, but
There's a
that's got to
reason.
be terrifying to see out. Just imagine driving somewhere and a rhino just walking past you. Like, you're at its mercy.
You know what the North American equivalent is?
Brown bear?
Moose.
Oh,
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
They'll stomp on your ass.
They'll wreck your
Yeah.
car and then be like, all right, onward.
Apparently,
Yeah,
I
dude.
think hippos are more dangerous than rhinos.
Yes, they are.
They're more aggressive, or like they'll kill you for fun.
Bro, they'll swim over. That's why everyone making a big deal about this baby fucking hippo in China. That's just a murderer right there. Why are we glorifying a future murderer? Can you make it make sense in my mind?
They should raise it to be a diplomat.
Technically, cats are
Raise it to be a diplomat.
Cats are, oh my God, the cats in this neighborhood, it's like Hunger Games out there.
Do you
I
just
feel like
hear-
we're ripping this off from another podcast. Probably Joe Rogan talked about this, but I don't care. But for real, like cats are they're fucking brutal.
like, are you having like a cat gang war in your backyard or something?
No,
Ron?
they're terrorizing all the other animals. Like the poor little possums are just minding their own business and they're going after them. There was a raccoon the other day that was like getting into a scuffle. It's just,
Bro, once they've dominated,
yeah.
once they've dominated everyone else, they just start beating the shit out of each other, bro. Like they're little motherfuckers.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
Have you heard them when like a female's in heat and then the boys are trying to
yeah.
get to them?
Who hasn't heard that in a neighborhood? Like, if you haven't heard that in a neighborhood, where are you living?
If I have to hear that, I just put AirPods on and just pretend like I don't exist with these beasts.
Is that
These beasts.
oh, I don't exist when, like, I'm thinking of like college or like a roommate or someone in the next room's like getting at it. It's like, I don't exist. We're fine. 'Cause I've definitely
If I
done
put
that
my head in the
before.
sand, they don't see me. Oh yeah.
If I'm in my room with my AirPods on underneath my blankets, I don't exist to the world right now.
Mm. So existence is dependent on those two factors. Good to know.
Yeah, if you got
And if
blankets
you
in
have
public-
ocular degeneration.
Ocular degeneration.
so that means if what I said is true, what we can be doing is we'll go rob a bank, proceed to go under a blanket with our AirPods on, and we won't be found.
According to that logic, that sound.
Alex,
Yeah,
I think you should
are we
give
gonna
this a
do?
try.
Are we gonna do this in Kansas? Meet up halfway, fellas. Like,
No, you can do it and share the profits with us.
I'm good on that. I thought this was a team effort.
So my favorite animal is
We're back on this.
the super tardigrade.
What is that?
So what?
Look it up. All my students know exactly what it is because I made a point of it.
Supra.
There's two things you have to know in the
Oh.
coaches trivia contest. It's Lady Gaga is the greatest artist of all time, and super tardigrades are my favorite animal.
How do you spell that? Super
Just type in water bear. It should come up.
water bear. Oh, so
Yeah,
you use
it's
the
microscopic.
fancy college term for this, and then now we got
That's correct. It was MLA cited as well.
Bro, this thing looks like the caterpillar from Bug's Life.
Oh, these guys.
They can survive the vacuum of space, sub 100 degree temperatures, maybe more, I don't remember, and boiling temperatures.
Then how do they die?
That's a great question. They don't.
Let me see. I'm looking
They
to see
just
if
live
there's any.
forever.
Well, I'm sure they die. Their organs probably fail at some point, but they're
Oh, thank
fairly impervious to normal damage. And so I want to be fused with their DNA at some point when it becomes
Oh my
possible.
god.
That's gross.
No, it's not. I mean, just because I have 6 arms doesn't mean that, I'm unlovable.
I'm
It just
trying to
means I'll
see
live longer.
lifespan so bad.
You want to have like a swollen face.
Have you guys seen what the navigators look like from the 1980s 84 Dune?
No.
That's what I'll look like when I fuse with a super
80
tardigrade.
Who are you fusing with? I'm sorry.
The Dune, or sorry, the Guild Navigators from Dune, but specifically the 1984 version.
I'm looking that up. But also, I found out on your water bears that they can either live a month or 100 years.
What? Oh, so was the
It's in
month
between.
from? Was that from eating too much candy, or what happened during that month?
I have no. Let me see if I can find out.
So there's no in between. So as long as they get to that 31st day, they're like,
So
oh, fuck,
without
I got another.
I got another.
tubosis, a water bear's lifespan is usually a few months to 2 years. With, I don't know what that word is, cryptobiosis, a water bear can survive for years and decades in dormant state. During the state, the water bear's metabolism slows down, leaves less oxygen, and its cells lose almost all of their water. Interesting.
But hey, at
Oh,
least
no.
it survived space.
Can I also give a runner up to my favorite animal,
Sure.
Yeah.
the capybara?
Oh, that's a good one.
Capybara.
The largest rodent in the rodent family.
Yeah, they're sick as hell, dog.
They're kind of chill, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it seems like they get along with everyone.
Yeah. Well, I
Well,
wonder
like,
how they would do with a hippo. Like if the hippo would chill out.
Hippos are bastards, so probably not. But like, let's just say they're so social that if you buy one, you have to have other pets with it, or it gets depressed and
Oh,
dies.
it gets sad. Yeah.
It'll just die. So they
I mean, can you really blame it though?
They recommend buying 2 at a time so you can have them chilling with each other.
Imagine the capybara by itself. It's just like, this is lame.
Yeah, honestly, poor guys.
Actually, I do find that a little offensive. Am I not good enough for the capybara?
No,
What if I hang out with it? Does that not count?
you're gonna hang out with it 24/7.
I guess it's a fair point.
We'll get this podcast going.
The capybara is just really judgmental about its friends. You're cool and you feed me and all, but like, I need
I
something
need someone
more.
my own size. Yeah.
It's like a. It's not you, it's me.
I mean, that is technically true because it's the one that, goes down for the count if you don't take care of it.
Poor guys.
Any more? I think we're doing okay on time, right? We've got like 15-ish, 20 minutes for you, Jesse.
Yeah, I'd say so. Maybe
All
10.
right. Maybe 10.
Because I realized I
Okay.
actually have to leave a little bit sooner than I remembered. I have to go get what some would call gas.
Oh,
Pon a little
I'll have to look that up on
gasolina.
YouTube later.
Yeah, have you ever heard of gas?
How do you pump your gas?
There's a tutorial
Through a
for it.
well.
Ah, good to know.
I just
Just in
put
case.
a hose into the ground and hope that I get some oil from it, and then I refine it before I go to work.
Oh, let me ask you guys this. What is the last thing that you learned from watching YouTube?
Oh Jesus, I have no idea.
Obee Won?
I'm thinking. I don't remember if it's car related shit or if it was like Excel related stuff.
You can learn both of those.
So I'd say both car stuff and then
It's from the same channel too. It's a channel that
They
only exclusively
they're
talks about
dedicated to
Excel and
cars
car
and
stuff.
Excel.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Today we learned how to change the oil on our car. Next week we'll be covering columns.
Bro, I hate Excel. I know I use
I
it. I
do
just
too,
don't.
to be
I don't
honest.
like
I love
Excel.
Excel. It does so many powerful things.
Anybody
I
that says
don't.
they love Excel deserves to get beat.
Well, good thing I'm coming in December to see you, huh?
Oh yeah, before I mean, after we get off this podcast or whatever we call this monstrosity, I gotta. I'm kidding, guys. Kidding. Calm down. We gotta figure out a day to hang out.
Yeah, well,
Oh
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
thinking
we'll do
calling it
that.
a holiday special.
Exact. Oh, we gotta schedule 2 days for it. One day will be decoration, and the next day will be recording.
Amen. Amen. So I think we've reached our time limit in a sense. For next week, I'm up in the air. We talked about social media, two-parter. Hopefully y'all learned something. We had our friend Jesse join us for a bit as well. I think the next one that I would like to talk about is maybe aliens existence. Are they real, not real?
Yeah, let's do it.
And then
Yeah,
But we
you
got to
left
get
us on a
Jesse on for
cliffhanger with
that
that
one.
one.
and Jesse will have to get you on for that one. If that is not the case, then I would say I know we wanted to talk about relationships maybe, but I don't know if
We can do that.
we could do relationships or the big blaring one that we could maybe talk about that we kind of alluded to in this podcast, but kind of didn't allude to was the election.
You need Jesse on for that one.
Sounds like Jesse, you are booked next week, 3:00 Eastern time, to do a podcast.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to accommodate it.
No, it's booked now. It's booked.
You got to tell your job that you had another work opportunity come up. Granted, it's unpaid and you have to pay for the opportunity, but it is what it is. It's still a work opportunity.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
Just
let
stop
you
talking
know.
about politics. It's starting to give me anxiety right now.
Oh goodness. All right, so we won't. Maybe we talk about anxiety and how we deal with it. But anyway, guys, this is our outro. We're trying to do it right. We're learning in the process. I'm Obee Won. Always a pleasure. And then I'll let the rest of you sign off.
Rome. Appreciate you guys tuning in to listen to our shenanigans. And thank you, Jesse, for joining us as well. I'll let you close us out.
Oh, bro, you gotta put me on the spot like a fucking asshole, bro. Do you want me to close out this podcast?
Yes.
That was the perfect closer. I could cut on that.
What are you, a piece of shit? Also, we miss you, Stemler, wherever you may be. Hopefully alive. Sorry, that has to be a running thing. I have to question his current status on Earth. Elephants and capybaras are sick. I don't know who's listening to this, but don't be assholes. That was the fucking worst outro ever.